opinions of the people expressing them and are not necessarily those of Fresh Air Incorporated, its staff, or its board of directors.
I'm Al McFarlane. Welcome to Conversations with Al McFarlane. Glad to be here and glad to have you along today. I'm expecting a wonderful, wonderful program. Guests talking about issues of critical importance to our community, to us, to you, and I hope you'll enjoy the conversation. Let somebody know that you're here. We are pleased to have this platform, KFAI, a powerful community platform. Also pleased to have our relationship with the Black Press of America, the National Newspaper Publishers Association. This program is being transmitted to the Facebook Live page at Black Press USA. Again, we're glad to be here. My colleague, Brenda Lau-Gray. Brenda, how are you today? Good to see you again.
I'm fine.
Great. Well, today we're going to start off talking about an important initiative to bring in more people into the first responder opportunities. And on the screen and in the virtual studio is Commander John Loretz, who's with the St. Paul Police Department. Let me start with you, Commander Loretz. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here, and jump right in. Let people know what is afoot in terms of recruitment, awareness, and opportunity to bring people into important critical public safety roles.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for having me on the show, Al, and nice to meet you, Al and Brenda. And hi, Brittany, good to see you again. My name is John Loretz, and I'm a commander with the St. Paul Police Department, and I am responsible for our Youth Outreach and Programming Unit. And one of the initiatives that we have is something that we are hiring for. It's called our Law Enforcement Career Path Academy. And what this is a program for people that may be interested in getting into law enforcement, that may have some traditional barriers into getting into law enforcement. Maybe it's they don't have the finances to go to college, because in Minnesota you have to have at least a 2-year degree to be a police officer. Perhaps they don't have the support or mechanisms in place to be successful in school. And so what this program does, it's a partnership with with the St. Paul Police Department, with AmeriCorps, with Century College, and also with the Community Action Partnership of Ramsey in Washington County. And what we do is people are under contract with AmeriCorps, and while they're going to school, we will pay for their first 6 credits to get into a law enforcement class at Century College. And while they're doing their education, they're also doing community engagement work with the St. Paul Police Department. And what we also do then is we provide a lot of safety nets for people. We provide the mentoring, we provide the kind of the encouragement to keep going. Perhaps someone doesn't have the funding, or they've got a flat tire and now they need some assistance with that. We have things cut out to help do that. And the whole purpose of this program is the St. Paul Police Department is interested in creating a police department that's reflective of our community. And this has been a very good program for us, where they got a flat tire and now for us to diversify the department. So that's just a little bit about what I'd like to talk about today. Thank you.
Brittany, you're involved in this initiative as well. Good afternoon, and thanks for being here. How are you?
Oh, good. Thank you for having me.
Good. And also the convener of the afternoon program is my colleague and my friend, Brother Tyrone Terrell. Tyrone, how are you?
I'm good, Al. I'm real good. How you doing?
Doing great. Thank you so much for calling this marvelous opportunity to my attention and for organizing getting these important guests to the program. I was just going to ask Brittany to introduce herself and talk about her role, but then I'll come back to you to give an overview. You and I talk about the issues at hand, the issues on the table all the time. And I think that what we say and how we approach the obligation, the opportunity, the duty, the civic duty of our community to be engaged in public safety is an important conversation. And this is one of the action steps that leads out of and supports the kind of what I call robust conversations that we all always have. Brittany, again, unmute your mic and join the conversation and talk about your role. What is important to you, what you want to achieve by your mission in getting people connected to opportunity in law enforcement.
So I'm on the fire side. So I know fire and EMS, and currently for the last 8 years, I've been teaching the class that I came through, which is the EMS Academy.
Now, your volume is a little bit low for me. Brittany, can you either go closer to your microphone?
To go through the EMT. We also, can you hear me? Okay, so we pay for the students to go through the EMT class, as well as we pay them wages as well. That's with the partnership with Ramsey County, Community Action, Century College. We used to use Inver Hills Community College, but Century with the fire department, as well as some other partners like Highway Federal Credit Union. So we teach financial literacy and those kind of things, like people learning about like loans, student loans, FAFSA, things that they don't learn normally. We were an attempt to run 3 different classes, but COVID kind of put a damper on that. But I teach the class because I'm a product of the class, as well as some other people. And it's been nice because Jody has actually stepped up and stepped in to be someone on the department who not necessarily came through the class, but offers very different perspective, but is strong in the beliefs that the fire department, as well as police department, should reflect the community. And so once people get their EMT, they can either continue on to become firefighters. You can work as a nurse. You can go to medical school. We've actually had some who now work on St. Paul Police Department with Commander Loretz, dispatchers, various different things. So putting people from the community, whether you're Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever, out into the community, that's what our goal is, and that's what I've been doing. And then letting them know, like, I've actually gone through the program, so not just getting people teaching classes or running programs that have no idea how the actual process works internally, and what it takes to get done. And so that's where I'm at with it. I love it. I'm St. Paul through and through, so I'm gonna always be there.
Let me, before I bring you in, Tyrone, let me ask Commander Loritz and Brittany to talk about their personal careers, how they have come to this arena of service in their own personal lives. How did you become a law enforcement officer? Commander Loritz and Brittany, how did you mentioned that you were a product of the program, but talk about your career, how you developed the interest and made the decision and the benefit you believe you've experienced from doing this great public service work. Commander?
Hey, Al,
Go ahead.
I should probably speak for Commander Loretz myself.
Okay.
But I'll let him do it this time. I'm his agent, but I'll
Here
I'll let him go ahead.
Thank you, Tyrone. And no, thanks for asking that. And this is a second career for me. My bachelor's degree is actually in marketing, and I worked for a corporation for a while, and I didn't get the satisfaction I wanted. And I happened to go to a law enforcement career fair because I had an interest. And at that time, Hennepin County had a program that was unique, and they recruited me. And so I started with Hennepin County, and I came to St. Paul 26 years ago to the police department. And so, through the 26 years of my department, I've had people that have taken an interest in my career, people before me that have kind of blazed the pathway, so to speak. And now as I get towards closer to the end than I am to the beginning, I feel like it's my job to kind of pay that forward. And I'm fortunate that I've been placed in a position where I'm recruiting people to come into the St. Paul Police Department and giving them an opportunity with a program that is so unique and is just a perfect pathway to become police officers. And so that's kind of a little bit about my background.
Are you a native of St. Paul or native Minnesotan?
I family in St. Paul, but I am actually originally from Tyrone's laughing, he'll probably tell you. I'm actually originally from Wabasha, Minnesota, southeast Minnesota, but I've been living in the city's general area here for the last almost 30 years.
Okay. Brittany, same question. What was your path to this career? And what's your background?
So I am born and raised in St. Paul through and through. And I originally was, after losing a lot of family members, going through my own trials and tribulations. A friend of mine actually told me about
Brittany,
it.
your microphone is a little bit low. I don't know if you could get
Oh,
closer to your mic or,
yeah, my apologies. Is that better?
yeah, it's better. Thank you.
So I originally was going to go to school for nursing. That was after I had my own little run-ins with law enforcement and some other stuff. Then a friend of mine told me about the EMT class, so I ended up going through there. Um, and then as I like kind of went through the EMT, I was like, man, like I kind of like this. I was able to get hands-on with the fire stuff. Um, and then two of my cousins work for Minneapolis Fire. So I started talking to them about it. And I'm like, man, like, one is from Minneapolis, one was born in St. Paul and forgot he's from St. Paul and went to Minneapolis. Well, like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna work in the community that I grew up in, that I live in, where I know the people know me, and that's kind of where I've come through. And then since then, I went to paramedic school, been teaching. I kind of do whatever I can in the community. People ask me to show up, I'm gonna be there. 'Cause I don't know. I just feel like that's where I feel like this is where God put me. I didn't necessarily walk into it on my own. He just was like, nope, this is where you're going. Not where I expected to be, but I'm here. So
Do you happen to know Captain Kalimba Cobb, a
I
firefighter in Minneapolis?
I do. That's my girl. Yep. One of my cousins is a captain here, and then the other one is their chief, actually. So yeah.
And Kalimba is my cousin, so
Oh,
I'm
really?
proud. I'm proud of firefighters, and proud of her. And whenever I'm with my one of my grandkids, and we see her, they pull over. If they're like going to the store or something like that, and
Mhm.
let the kid get into the truck.
Yeah.
But that's how you get really close up and in, and a feeling for the importance and the power of the job and the power of the service that you all do as police officers and firefighters. Tyrone, let me come to you now. And Tyrone, I don't know if you were here before in a program where I had my colleague Brenda Lyle Gray. Have you guys met before, Tyrone and Brenda?
I don't think so, Al. I don't think so.
Tyrone, Tyrone is from Kansas City like us. And Tyrone, Brenda, and I were in the kindergarten together.
Oh, that right? Okay.
Washington, down on 23rd and Prospect, and then DA Holmes, and then Central.
Right,
and then,
right.
She stayed at Central. I went to Westport High School, but we go back a long, long ways. And we connected recently again because my cousin and one of her best friends is one of Brenda's best friends, and we found out that she was writing. I found she was writing, and I invited her to join. So she's been with me almost a year now, turning out volumes and volumes and volumes of excellent journalism every week, and being a part of this show. So, homegirl, homeboy. Here
Oh,
we go.
yeah. Well,
And I've written a lot about you.
Excuse me?
I've written a lot about you.
Oh, okay. John, stop smiling, John.
Enjoy it.
Well, thank you.
Congratulations on all of your good work.
Oh, thank you. I
really
appreciate
enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you, sister. I appreciate it. Well, Al and me have been together on this deal for a long, long time. So I think I'm the co-host when I come on this show. I don't even think I'm a guest.
That's right.
I bet.
And before I get in real trouble, Al, could you add Jody Curl in before I have to hear about it?
Sure.
And you too, look at Brittany. But and I don't want to talk very long, Al, because I just think it's real important, particularly as president of the African American Leadership Council, that they know the community knows about these two great programs. We're not going to get better as a community if we don't have people that look like us in the fire department, in the police department, and then actually in our role of community service. But particularly, those two get the most attention. And so we need to get our young people that want this great career, particularly fire. Al, they only work 10 days a month, Al. 10 days a month, y'all. So if y'all want, y'all can have 2 more jobs. But it's a great career. And so it's an opportunity for our young people. But we can't sit on the sideline and say, if we want better policing, then get more people that look like us in those jobs. And both of these programs provide that opportunity. So, but the African American Leadership Council and the St. Paul Black Ministerial Alliance stands behind both programs, Al.
Jody, good afternoon. How are you? Good to see you again.
I'm good. Good to see you, Al.
Thank you for joining the program. Jump in. Just I was asking Brittany and Commander John to talk about their careers, and you and I have talked before about your advancement in the fire department.
Yes.
Yeah. Talk
Yes.
about your career. Where are you now, and how you decided to move into this field of work?
Well, I started a little later in the game than most. I was in fitness and raising girls. I was a single mom raising my girls. And I was invited to come to the Women's Expo event, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And so that's basically how I got involved and met Brittany, and we had a connection outside of the department as well as on the department. And so now we're the second and third Black women ever in the St. Paul Fire Department. And so our goal is to recruit as many people as we can, and then also let people know, and women and people of color know, that this is a wonderful profession, and that you can do this, and we can help you do this.
I loved, Brittany, when you talked about the idea of deciding to work in St. Paul versus Minneapolis, meaning that it means something to you to be around people that know you and people that you know. And Commander Loritz, you kind of mentioned that sense of being connected and being familiar, and people being familiar with you. How important is that for the firefighter, the law enforcement officer, to feel that kind of personal connection? And I say this with this thought in mind: where Brenda and I grew up in Kansas City, and where Tyrone grew up, pretty much everybody in the neighborhood knew the preacher, the teacher. Teachers lived around the corner. The grocery store owners lived next door. Dry cleaners owners around the corner. Everybody that was doing something to make the neighborhood work, from police to teaching to nurse to doctor to dentist, lived really on your block or 2 blocks away or within your school district or whatever. And there was this sense of shared responsibility and accountability, and that sense kind of helped regulate individuals in their behavior, because you didn't want to be called out but for being a rogue or a bad actor, because you knew you were being watched all the time, and not in a way where it was like dogging you, but people were concerned about you, and they let you know, and you knew that you couldn't do outlandish stuff and not be reported back to your parents. And so that feeling of community is a powerful asset that we grew up with. How does that play out today in the modern world? Is that still attainable, achievable? Is it still something that we ought to be considering as a people to help us make decisions to go into the service? Let me start with you, Jody. I mean, what do you think? What's your sense of the community connection in your experience now?
I think it's absolutely attainable, but we're all going to have to put in a lot of work to make it happen. Those of us that are in the profession are going to have to get out into communities and do our part. And I think we are definitely, Brittany and I are doing that right now. Every opportunity we get, we show our faces. We just recently went to a preschool, Hallie Q. Brown preschool graduation. And one of the little people had on their graduation card, they wanted to be an EMT when they grew up. And so for them to see us there and have a picture to take and grow up looking and seeing people who look like them, to women that look like them in this profession, it's powerful, I think. And we do all kinds of events like that, and we are, working on doing more and more and more. And so with us being here, there's an accountability that we all have to take for our community. And so there's a sense of responsibility. And once people begin to, younger people especially, begin to realize that this is your community, this is your future here, then I think we're going to have a lot more progress, the more people that we can touch.
Brittany, do you think we've, at some point in time, say between my generation and yours, lost a little bit of that sense of community and shared accountability? or do you think that it's still there? We simply need to work on it and to bring it forward to recreate and to sustain the kinds of communities we really want as citizens. What do you think, Brittany?
Yes and no. I think that a lot of it sites are like, I still know a ton of people in the community, but now I go places and I see, and I don't know, I know Commander Reds can probably speak to this as well. Like when I was growing up, like the cops, like I would see him, I'd see, like Benny Williams, may he rest in peace, Richard Ellis, you know, Bobby Edwards, all those guys, like even as cops, and then like firefighters, like Rodney Edwards, those guys like that knew my family. All of our families knew each other. We're all from the Rondo neighborhood. Everybody knew each other. Now, I go places and I still know a lot of those people, but there are also a ton of people that aren't from here that have migrated in, and so I do think there is some of that, a lot of that lost sense of community because some of those people come from other places. And my husband and I have this conversation all the time. He's not from Chicago. And so I meet a lot of people from Chicago that are here now that don't necessarily have that connection to the community. So their love for the community is going to be different than mine is. And so they don't necessarily take the same care they would if they were from here, but try to make the best of it that I can, at least, and like fill in some of those voids, fill in some of those gaps. I'm still young, so I'm kind of like in between the elders and the younger people growing up, or even as far as like my kids going to hang out with their friends. I'm like, it used to be like when I was hanging out with my friends, my mom and dad knew all of my friends' parents. If I got a whooping at one person's house, I went home and got a whooping because they've already called my parents going home. And now I'm like, have to tell my daughter, okay, well, I have to go meet this person's family first. I have to go and, spend a little bit of time with them first before you can go hang out with them.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that kind of disconnect. And then like Jody alluded to, like, I was on the department for a year by myself. But Jerome introduced us to each other and we're talking and she told me her last name. And here I am thinking she's related to my stepdad, who's a Carroll, but he's from California. And she's like, no, but my girls are from St. Paul. Then she told me their last name, and I'm like, you're lying. And she starts laughing because we're trying to work out together. Jerome put this introduction in, and I called him and I said, her girls are my cousins. And he's like, you're kidding. I'm like, nope, they are literally like my family, same last name. It's not too far down the line. You can't figure out who's who. It was nice. And I was like, that connection right there, even for me, like being here by myself and then being nervous, like if there's another Black woman coming on, but I don't know her, we don't really know each other. Like, I don't know if her mindset is the same as mine when it comes to like pushing the community forward. And come to find out hers is a little bit stronger than mine pushing the community forward. But we had that connection too. And that's, I'm like, okay, no, if there's a reason that there was a lag in how long it took for Black women to get on. And then here goes God, like, you know what, Britt, here you go. And then here comes Jody. And yep, y'all know each other. So, but I do think there is like somewhat of a disconnect as far as the people and the younger people, like especially people younger than me. I think my generation does all right. Like a lot of my classmates and peers have done all right with themselves. But this generation behind us, it scares me. It worries me. Can't even really be like a second mom to them, try and help them because that guidance isn't there. So I'm hoping that, especially with our event we have coming up next weekend, that we can try and get some of this hashed out, figured out.
Yeah. Commander, your thoughts on the question?
Yeah, the original question, it's about building relationships, and that is always something that is so key. And so now more so than ever, the St. Paul Police Department, that is one of the things that we are doing. And by having those relationships, we build that trust. And that's where you see that person from the community that you know who they are and that they're a member of the police department or they're the town barber or dentist, whoever the case is. And that goes to what it is that the St. Paul Police Department is trying to do, and that is to continue to build our legitimacy. And you do that relationships, one interaction at a time. As you all can see, it can take one bad police interaction that can really color people's perspectives of law enforcement totally. And so, and that's why we have this Law Enforcement Career Path Academy. These are people from the community a lot of people are thinking, yeah, I'd like to be a police officer. I just don't know how to do it. Well, I'm coming to you, right? I'm coming to you, and I'm gonna meet you where you are, and we have to be really intentional about this. And this is, why we recruit, to say you do have a place in the St. Paul Police Department. And part of this program, for the 2 years while you're getting your degree, you're doing community engagement work with the St. Paul Police Department. So 2 years before you ever even put on a St. Paul police officer badge, we know that you have what it takes to be a St. Paul police officer, that you're the right person for this community. You understand that we serve the community and that we're not policing the community. And so that's where those relationships are big. That's why this Law Enforcement Career Path Academy is so incredibly important.
Tyrone, jump in.
Well, Al, again, I think they've said it and said it well, is this is about community. I mean, this is about us trying to, particularly on the St. Paul Fire, we only got 2 Black women. John, how many Black St. Paul police officers are there? 2 or 3 now?
We have 2 now. Yeah, we're hoping to add another 3 this fall.
So, we have 4 between the 2 departments. That's just, we have to do better. And actually, St. Paul PD will lose probably, John, at least maybe in the next 3-4 years, 10 to 12 Black officers on the male side that will be up for retirement. And so, and some significant officers who made tremendous contributions to the community, some of them that Brittany already named. And so those are going to be major replacements. And St. Paul Fire has the same thing. They've got several of the Black males that will be leaving in the next 4 or 5 years. And so if we don't rebuild, restock, replenish, then we're going to have a department that doesn't look like our community. Mm-hmm. And so we have a lot of work to do, but these 2 programs are a great introduction for folks to find out about being a firefighter, find out about being a police officer.
Great. Well, listen, I want to thank all of you for what you do. Tyrone or Commander or Brittany, give people the information. I see that Commander put information in the chat here, but you can tell people too who are listening on radio, Commander, how they can follow up and get connected to the opportunity. And Brittany, you do the same thing if you would for the fire department.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great.
Are you okay if we post our events in here? Sorry, Commander.
Sorry, Brittany. No, thank you again for having us on the program. And as I did, I put it in the link here, but the Law Enforcement Career Path Academy, you can still apply for it. It closes the end of this week, July 9th. And if you just go to the City of St. Paul Human Resource website, if you look at the jobs that are currently available or you can currently apply for, it's called the St. Paul Police Department's Law Enforcement Career Path Academy. That application will come right to me. And so, I encourage everyone to apply. I typically will reach out to each person and just answer any questions that they have. And so, that's the personalized service that I'm telling your audience that I'd love to talk to them.
Well, you can't get any clearer an invitation than that, knowing that if they reach out or send an email or a phone call, it'll go straight to you, and you're committing that you're going to talk individually and personally to them, because you are genuine in offering this opportunity. Brittany, same question. How do people connect with you for opportunities in your field?
You can either give our headquarters a call, and I'll put that number in here, and that'll connect myself or Jody or another one of our partners, Kayla, with getting the information that you need for getting your EMT. And then also, I couldn't post the flyer, but Commander Loretz and Tyrone, Jody will all be out at the Raising Rondo event next Saturday, July 17th from 11 to 2 over at Hallie Q. Brown. Police will be out there. Commander Loretz has offered up some LECPA, as well as they're going to be bringing the police truck out. We'll have some fire trucks out there. We'll all be out politicking with our people as far as getting this stuff done. And I'll post my email in as well. But that'll get you to myself or Jody, and whatever questions people have, or if you see us out, don't be afraid to talk to us. We're people just like they are. We've all had our own trials and tribulations with police or with fire that didn't go well, but we've made the best out of it. And so we don't want to be those people they have those bad interactions with. So you can find us, even if you have to come knock at stations, whatever you got to do. If you're looking for us, come find us. Find me on Facebook. Whatever you want, we're here for it.
Wonderful. So people who are online are seeing the posting of your phone numbers and your email addresses, but those on the radio might not see this, or not seeing actually. So I'm going to ask you to give your phone number that people can write it down and call you if they're listening to this on radio and not hearing it on Facebook. So Brittany, first, how do they reach you by telephone?
So you can call 651-224-711. You can ask for information on the EMS Academy, or you can ask for Firefighter Baker, Firefighter Jody Carroll, or Firefighter Kayla Sanchez. And my email is BrittneyBaker, BAKER@ci.stpaul.mn.us. And St. Paul is STPAUL.
Great. And Commander John, your phone number?
Yeah. Okay. My number is 651-266-5520. 651-266-5520.
Thank you so much. Tyrone, stick around for a second. Joining us for a quick minute, Chaz Millionaire and Audrey Ellison. You know them both. I think everybody knows them both. They're joining the program live from Latvia. And they're in Latvia covering the tournament, the basketball tournament that's featuring a Twin Cities, Minnesota basketball star. Chaz and Audrey, how you guys doing?
We're doing great. We're doing great, Al. We're coming to you live from Electrum Stadium here in Riga, Latvia, Eastern Europe. And we are following the U19 FIBA basketball tournament. What that is basically is all of the world basketball players that are under 19 that will be going on to college and then on to the pros. But all of the phenoms and standouts from all over the world. And we are here at halftime. We have a score of USA 44, Australia 42. Andy, you want to?
Yeah, it's been a heck of a day for basketball here in Latvia, y'all. I mean, they are playing hard. All these teams today came to play, and Australia, woo, they are not messing around, y'all. They are not messing around.
However, we are going to keep the faith,
Of
and
course.
USA all the way.
All the way.
Also, there's quite a few pro scouts that I talked to and interviewed here. The Miami Heat has pro scouts here, Cleveland Cavaliers, Detroit Pistons, and Denver Nuggets as well. All have pro scouts here watching the game. That's a great article, Al. What is that?
Tell
me about that. You guys did a great job. I'm trying to show people the lead story we did last week, a piece that Audrey wrote and that Chaz organized and did photography on. You guys did an excellent job, and it's so wonderful that you're following up by being on the scene in Riga, is it Riga, Latvia?
It's Riga, yes, sir.
Riga, Latvia. Amazing. It's amazing, and the picture is good, the image is good, the sound is good, but what's most important is the determination that you all have as young communicators to keep our people and our world connected. You demonstrate the possibility of staying connected no matter where we are, anywhere on the planet. You've taken the story from wherever it is back to our people right here in North Minneapolis, South Minneapolis, and Rondo neighborhood in St. Paul. So thank you so very much. You're going to be checking in with us?
We will be checking in with you. We'll be giving you periodic updates on not just USA, but all of the teams involved. And we'll keep a short synopsis. And we're going to keep you connected because that's what Radio 612 and Insight News does. We're global. We won't stop. And we will be there with no Minnesota media here in Riga, Latvia. And frankly, do you see any media from the United States?
There's not a whole lot of United States media here. So
I think we're the only one.
Yeah, we're really blessed to be here. And Al, of course, we have to give a big shout out to you and Insight News Media for
collaborating
and
connecting with us
here.
And helping the connection. And we're going to continue this long collaboration with Radio 612 and Insight News. And we're very excited. And
we need to get back inside.
We're going to get back to
We got to get back inside. Our
halftime.
boys, his halftime is over. We got to go in there and support our boys.
And big ups to all the other panelists that you have on.
Especially me, right?
The Rondo team and everybody that's continually to make our great state of Minnesota and the Twin Cities a better place. And keep up the good work, everybody. We appreciate you.
Take care,
I
brother.
think we lost Al. Did we lose Al?
No. We're live on location from Riga,
Are you all
Latvia.
able to hear me
Chaz
now?
Millionaire, everyone from day one.
We are here.
Y'all have a great evening.
All
We'll
right.
check back.
Thanks for having us, Al. We'll talk to
Thank
you
you.
very
Keep
soon.
up the good work, and we'll see you when you get back.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so I'm going to take a break now. My thanks again to Chaz and Audrey for being on the scene in Latvia. Thank you, Tyrone Terrell, and thank you, my guest, Commander John. I'm using my telephone, so I can't read the names as I'd like to. Tyrone, why don't you thank our guest for being here? And we're going to take a music break. Kelvin, if you're there, do a music transition for the next part of our program. After
I would do that, Al.
thanks the guests who are here.
Jody Carroll and Brittany Baker and John Loretz for
Thank you.
join our show today. Al and I were glad to have you on, and we will hopefully have you on again, along with Brenda. So we look forward to having you again. Call it the Show Me State Show. You're on the Show Me. I'm renaming the show, Al. The Show Me State. It's the Show Me State.
The KC group.
It's time. It's time. It's time. I know it's time. The generation for reparation. Time to pay up. Right now, reparation. It's really hard, you know it's due. Pay up. Time to pay up. Right now, reparation. Pay up. Time to pay up. Reparations for building this nation. Lynching and burning, castration. Selling children, family separation. Right now, time for reparation. Millions of slave ships landed, whipped, chained, and branded. 300 years of free labor. We ain't asking for no favor. Time to pay. Right now, time for reparation. Time for reparation. Right now, time for reparation. Pay up, time to pay up. Right now, reparation. Pay up, time to pay up. Right now, reparation. Reparations for reconstruction. Red summers of destruction. Segregation, Jim Crow corruption. Right now, time for reparation. Reparations for the Constitution. Said we were 3/5 human. Reparations are overdue. 40 acres and a view. Time for reparation. Time for reparation. Time for reparation. Right now, time for reparation. Pay up, time to pay up. Right now, reparation. Pay up, time to pay up.
I'm Al McFarlane. You're listening to Conversations with Al McFarlane, the powerful music of Gary Hines and Sounds of Blackness. Joined back with my colleague and friend and neighbor, Tyrone Terrell. And we're expecting a call in just a second from another mutual acquaintance and colleague of ours, actually, leader in community, Dr. Dolores Henderson. And Kelvin, when Dr. Henderson and others come on board, just bring them in the studio. We'll continue the conversation. Before I go back with you, I'll let people know that Dr. Dolores Henderson is the founder of an organization called Dolores Works. She took her first name and created an acronym, DELORES, Works, but it stands for Developing, Empowering, and Leveraging Occupational Readiness for Economic Sustainability for Children, Parents, and Community. And Dolores Works is designed to support students to reach their full potential in academic settings as third and fifth graders, as well as enabling them to gain self-reliant skills socially and emotionally. The goal is to increase and reinforce academic skills in reading and math in order to close the achievement and opportunity gaps. So she'll be joining us in a second. But Tyrone, I want to always take a minute or two with you just to kick it as we do, reflecting both on our roots in Kansas City and our long histories. We're elders now in the community, and how we reflect on where we've come from and where we are now, whether that's a plus or a negative, a good or a bad, and what we see as the future. You know that I'm always the eternal optimist. I think compared to me, I would say that you're probably a pragmatist. And you have this unique ability to see both sides of the question and explain them both. That's what I think. But how do you see where we are right now, Brother Tyrone?
Al, we're actually in a bad place right now. I mean, when I say in a bad place, we have way too many killings going on, way too many shootings, way too much trauma, and neither our government or corporate partners, if you want to call them that, care enough about what's going on to make a real impact. Now we've got second, third, fourth graders. They're on the same conveyor belt pipeline to continue this violence. So this violence is not going to stop anytime soon without a major change socially, politically, economically, from a religious standpoint, from a spirituality standpoint. It's not going to happen. And so nobody wants to really cut the feeder group off. And until we do that, the most important years of any child's life is from conception to 6 years old. Mm-hmm. So if you give me, excuse my language, a life of pure hell for 6 years, then when I go to school as a kindergartner or first grader, and you tell me to sit down, be quiet, then I'm going to talk to you the way I've been talked to at home, the way the streets have taught me. If our kids can do every video game, know every record, every dance, they can do the same thing with academics. Black children who are on an equal playing field do just as well. Take Jack and Jill. All those babies in Jack and Jill going to do well because they come from a level playing field. And so until we change where white folks are making $67,000 a year annually in Minnesota and blacks are at 27, we were at 31,000 and then dropped 4,000 to 27,000. And for a mother of four to try and raise a family on 27,000, after taxes, she might have 18,000. Somebody should make her the finance director for the country, because when you can budget that kind of money and survive. But one thing I tell people all the time is don't talk about saving Minneapolis. Don't think about saving St. Paul. Save your block. Mm-hmm. You know everybody on your block. Don't worry about the whole city. Because 9 times out of 10, the data shows it that if somebody breaks in your house, it's somebody that lives within 4 blocks of your house. Nobody's driving from St. Paul to Minneapolis to break in your house, mm-hmm. or from Minneapolis to St. Paul to do it. They've seen your garage up. They've seen you put the big screen box in your garbage can. So they watch what goes on in their neighborhood. So until we adopt every neighbor, if the 15-year-old got a baby, and I say this all the time, both my sisters were pregnant at 16. And I remember my sister crying because she had a full ride scholarship to what was then Northeast Missouri State in Kirksville. She said, Mama, now I can't go to college. My mama said, oh, you still going.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to keep the baby. We're going to sign a contract. And in 4 years, you'll have a job in an apartment and come get this baby. My sister went on to be a vice president of an insurance company because my mama and her aunts, and matter of fact, my nephew, who for years thought I was his brother. He called Mama because 4 years. And so we've had teenage pregnancies forever. It's nothing new. But the community stepped up and helped that young girl be a mother. A 15-year-old is not a mother. She's got no clue about being a mother. But there are mothers in our community. So Al, I call it the deposit relationship. If you go to the bank right now, if you haven't made a deposit, you can't make a withdrawal.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't go to a young person the first time you meet them and say, pull up your pants, turn your hat around, get a job. You have to make deposits in that relationship, build up credit in that relationship, and then you can make a withdrawal. Because most of these young people today, none of them are born with a pistol in their hand. None of them are born saying, I want a baby. But we can't turn our back on them once they have the gun, once they have the baby, because every shooter, Al, if you did a profile on every shooter in the last 10 years, I guarantee their background are the same.
Which would be what?
Not a trusted male in their life.
Mm.
Drama, trauma, and there's going to be food on the table. You know, I was at Harvest Prep for 6 years as COO, and we would do a after school lunch thing. I'd see kids sometimes grab 3 and 4 bags out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
They were taking food home for their siblings. So when you've got that kind of environment that you're going into, I had a little boy one time tell me, Mr. Terrell, you should have been at my house last night. There was blood everywhere. We were all fighting. So did he supposed to come to school the next day and sit there and learn? And so we as a community have to take a responsibility. We have to take a responsibility on our block. If the kid can't read, it's your fault then, neighbor. Help him read. If he needs a pair of tennis shoes, buy him a pair of tennis shoes. But there's ways for us to have, but not, stop saying I'm going to save St. Paul or I'm going to save Minneapolis. Do you know, most people don't know everybody on their block, Al.
Yeah, you're right.
I know everybody. I mean, do you know everybody? Do you have their phone number? Can you call them and say you left your garage door open? Can you say there's somebody running around your house that shouldn't be there? So we have to get back to being us. You know, that whole village, take the village to raise a child, that's gone. That left town. You know, matter of fact, it might be over there where Brother Chaz is at.
over in Latvia. Yeah.
Right. That's how far away it is. But if we don't get back to loving us, caring about us, and being about us, and one thing Spike says all the time, if men stand up, little boys will sit down.
Mm-hmm.
But the men of our community have to stand up, not just for boys. The girls who see a respectful man in their house is what they'll want. If they see a disrespectful man in their life, that's what they'll want. And so males play a significant role because the mothers are trying. The mothers are trying. But they've been failed so many times by men who don't want to, and it doesn't have to be your biological child for you to show an interest. Doesn't have to be. And that's one thing, you know, how the Men of March has done for the last 27 years is help single moms with their boys.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, Al, I mean, that's a long answer, but if we don't get back to loving us as a community, last time I checked, I think Kansas City had something like 230 murders last year. Mm-hmm. Okay, 100 and some of them, Al, were 16 and under. 16 and under. That's too many murders. I mean, that's double what we had in the Twin Cities.
Mm-hmm.
We've had over 1,000 people shot in the last 2 years in the Twin Cities. We've got young boys who will never father a child, who are in a wheelchair. You know, life expectancy maybe 30 because of all the complications that come when you're disabled like that. So we have to get back to, as a community, caring about each other, bro. We just simply don't care. But if you don't have values, and brother, we all grew up in an era, you talked about it. If the street light came on, everybody knew what that meant. I asked my cousins in the country, they said, well, we don't have street lights, but if we can see lightning bugs, we got to go home. Now I said, what's a lightning bug? But so I'm saying we all grew up in a time that Brittany talked about, where your neighbors knew you. Your neighbor could tell you, could spank your butt, could do whatever's necessary to make sure you knew eyes were always on you. And now we got our eyes closed. When we grew up, there was eyes on us all the time.
Yeah.
But now the neighbors shut their eyes. They're afraid of a kid. And again, now I've been doing this for a long time, as you know. I've never had a young person disrespect me ever.
Mm-hmm.
Not one time. Because you have to give respect to get it. And these young people are begging for somebody to be in their life and be consistent. Don't do it if you're not going to be consistent. The mark of our relationship the last 35, 40 years has been consistency.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
where did you grow up in Kansas City? What neighborhood were you in?
3506 Prospect. And then my dad's last, where he passed away at was off 24th and Prospect. My Uncle Thomas on the 2 apartment buildings right there, and throughout 24th, and 39th and Euclid. We lived there for 3-4 years on Euclid, 39th.
Mm-hmm.
My Uncle Sonny right now, the last of 7 boys, lives on 53rd and Myrtle. Now, with and he has 7 kids,
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a different time. Kansas City's different now. I went on 4 or 5 years and saw a white woman standing on Prospect. I turned the car around and went back. No, brother, first time ever in my life. And some people laugh when I tell them this. Or when I went to
gentrification.
Or I went on one time about 10 years ago, went to Gates, and a white girl was saying, "May I help you?" Y'all know what I'm talking about. Look at Brenda Rowland. But I'm just saying, wow. I mean, this is really. Because when I grew up, I didn't think white people were for real. Because you ain't seen none.
Right.
I mean, and you didn't go in stores, right? Because everything was either J.C. Penney's or, you catalog shopped.
Mm-hmm.
You got something for your birthday.
Sears and Montgomery Ward, yeah.
You got something for your birthday, Christmas, going back to school, and Easter. Otherwise, you didn't have for nothing.
Tyrone, you probably knew my uncle who had a cleaners and a tailor shop right on 23rd and Prospect, right in the middle of the block. Directly.
Oh, yeah. My dad used to take his stuff there.
Dwayne, that was my uncle. He made all of my clothes. Yep, I was tough. But he was a doll. He never walked a day in his life. He was born without a spinal cord, and he was just one of the top tailors in the state. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but when you said 24th and Prospect, and then Al used to fuss because he had to walk from 28th in Brooklyn down to Booker T. Washington, and it was like on the cold days. And when we first connected, he said, "Do you remember when that school was half white and half empty, and he couldn't go, and I had to walk?" He was so upset about that. I don't think Al McFarlane, the media mogul, could ring. He just can't let that go, that they would do that to us. But, a lot of good memories, but I'm like you with the whites. If there was someone in Gates that said, "May I help you?"
Right.
I was afraid I'd turn around and walk back out.
Well, and she looked at me like, why are you looking stunned, Sarah? Well, ma'am, this is a first for me.
That is so cool.
Even we're talking about law enforcement, and You probably remember his name, Alvin Brooks, right?
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
But so the first time I got in trouble with the police was Alvin Brooks.
Yeah.
And he took me straight.
Phenomenal.
He didn't take me to my dad. He took me to my Uncle Thomas, who lived on 34th and Cypress. And because him and my uncle were tight. And they straightened me out real quick.
Was that Vineyard Gardens? Was that around that area?
Yeah.
30? I think so.
Yeah.
All of that is white. That's
no, not that. No. It was all. Matter of fact,
I'm saying today it's all white.
Oh, today it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But how small community was back then, Robert Holmes, who played for the Chiefs at that time, lived 2 doors from my uncle.
Yeah.
And you would never known he was a football player. I mean, you never would have known it. But yeah, Alvin, and was really crazy. Alvin went on to be the Kansas City Human Rights Director. And we're at a conference, we were in a conference out somewhere, and he heard my name. He said, "Son, did I arrest you?" I said, Al, I'm the Human Rights Director for St. Paul now. You can't be asking me.
not in public anyway.
That is so cool.
But
great memory.
I don't think I ever told you this, Al, but Alvin wanted me to replace him as Human Rights Director in Kansas City. And actually, I went back there, and at that time I was married to Suzanne. We looked at houses and came really close. Came really close to going back to KC, but no, things are just different now. We're in a bad place as a community.
Well, let me ask you to turn the lens forward, Tyrone and Brenda. Got about 2 minutes left, I think. But what's the future? I mean, I describe myself as the eternal optimist, and I claim that, I stand on that, and I stand on this idea that we still can and we must and we will create a future in which we win. That future will not be created by anybody else but us. And I believe that we're capable, we're up to the task. We've demonstrated a resilience and a capability of withstanding all of the odds of nature and the odds of human greed and human immorality. Call it the transatlantic slave trade, call it Jim Crow, and call it just white supremacist thought. But we have withstood and thrived at a certain level despite all of that. I believe that the purpose of that is to demonstrate a new way of organizing humanity, a freedom that we will be responsible for creating for ourselves that includes every other human being as well. That's what I think. What do you think, Tyrone?
Al, we have to, what you said is 100% correct, Al. We can't accept that we failed. We can't accept that we can't win. That means we're saying to generations of our people that we can't do it. If we can overcome slavery, we can overcome Jim Crow and Jim Crow Jr. and Jim Crow the Third and all this stuff that's going on now, then we can do this, but we have to do it. And so again, until we start loving us as a people, stop killing ourselves, stop shooting up our neighborhoods where folks are afraid for their children to go out and play. I mean, we've had a 5, 9, and 10-year-old get killed. And now it's gone silent in our community. That we had a couple marches, a couple protests about it. But y'all, if we're going to stand for a 10, 9, and 5-year-old to be shot, then we'll stand for anything. Because we've always protected women and children. There's always been gangsters. I mean, but even gangsters had a code, had a respect thing that no longer exists. And so now we can't give up. But the Black church has got to play a role. And people say, well, I'm not into the religion. That's not just about religion. Okay, it's not just about that. But if we don't love each other, take care of each other, then it's not going to happen. That's why I go back to save your block. You know everybody on your block. You want to have a party, have a block party on your block until everybody cares enough about each other. If I'm going to the store, can I get you something while I'm going? So we have to get back to that. Or we're gonna be in trouble because these other folks don't care about saving us, Al. They're gonna do what they can do. They can do what they can do, but we are a multi-billion-dollar enterprise.
Yeah. And we have been from the beginning.
Right. Whether it's the court system, the prison system, you name it. Even the academic educational system.
We're out of time. And we're out of time. Listen, thank you, Tyrone Terrell. Thank you, Brenda Lau Gray. I'm Al McFarlane. We'll see you next time.
All right, thank you.